Hello everybody, how are you going? And welcome back to another RMR, another Rick Mercer report. This one being the Rick Hansen bungee jump, but of course with Rick Mercer just adding his own twist to it.
Welcome to Whistler, British Columbia. It has been 25 years since Rick Hansen got in his wheelchair and traveled 40,000 kilometers around the globe on his Man in Motion World Tour. Hansen has confronted and conquered it all, from the Great Wall of China to inaccessible washrooms in 34 countries. Well, the one thing that the Man in Motion has never done is plunge 160 feet off a bridge into a gorge with a raging river at the bottom. Today, that changes because today, Rick Hansen and I go bungee jumping. Unless I chicken out.
Hey, if I'm doing it, you're doing it, buddy.
Are you ready for this?
Well, what do you think?
That's not the greatest start in terms of, are you ready for this? Well, what do you think? But to be honest, hearing his credentials off the get-go there, that is crazy. And to be honest, I don't know. I feel like I know the name, but I never knew the story. I kind of can't believe that they haven't made a movie of something, or at least not one that I've ever heard of. So I would love to know more, and I'm certainly going to have to look into that man more, because even just seeing some of the statues that they had at the start here, he clearly has an iconic, I don't know if you'd call it following, or popularity, or even just respect, I guess would be the name of it. But just look at that in that singlet going and taking on the world, man. What an incredible thing. But then for him to now just be switching gears into bungee jumping, from being bound to your chair willingly, but then now just being absolutely let loose.
Today, that changes because today, Rick Hansen and I go bungee jumping.
Oh,
Unless I chicken out.
Hey, if
Crazy.
I'm doing it, you're doing it, buddy.
Are you ready for this?
Well, what do you think? No.
Neither am I. Let's
Oh,
go.
fair enough.
Let's go.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, isn't it a fact statistically that it feels like bungee jumping is more dangerous almost than skydiving? Or at least maybe that's just something that has been put in people's minds, because, I don't know, as much as you are tethered to something, there just seems to be more problems, at least more media coverage about problems with bungee jumping, even just the whiplash that people can get. I don't believe people get as much whiplash from skydiving. Of course, both of them have their own very unique set of challenges to overcome from a physics perspective, but still, just the thought of bungee jumping it's meant to stretch and it's meant to not break. And knowing that fine line is, I guess, where you want to be not too heavy and not too light so you don't just hit concrete either way. Oh my goodness, what was that? Why did he take a run up like that? That seems so unnecessary.
Okay.
What? I've never seen anything like it. I've only ever seen people just get basically shoved off because they don't want to go, let alone this base jumper that is using a bungee cord. That is nuts. Look at that. I mean, at least I know that he's not going to get, hit by the cord, or I guess there's other problems that you might be encountering, but that's crazy. Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh no.
Do you like heights?
Poor thing. Please not.
I love about 5 or 6 feet.
Good.
How high is this?
Oh, 160 feet.
You've helped challenge me to stretch my boundaries again.
That's right.
Huh?
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, just like again. Hang on a second. What does he mean again? Am I missing something else here? Or is there actually just some other 5 or 6 foot incident that I'm completely unaware of? And really, he just keeps feeding me things that make me want to learn more. So I feel like I just want to quickly do almost a quick Wikipedia scan on this guy. Richard Marvin Hansen, CC, OBC, of course, just decorated individual, is a Canadian track and field athlete at the Paralympic Games, activist and philanthropist for people with disabilities. Following a pickup truck crash at the age of 15, Hansen sustained spinal cord injuries and became paraplegic. Well, as a 2-sentence summary of his entire life, clearly showing, like I said, that he's just been out and experienced the world, being very, very philanthropic for one thing, but very, very just influential for so many different people. Because to get to the point where someone can just go, yeah, the Man in Motion tour or the Man in Motion, anything like that, if someone has that kind of credentials behind an activity that they did, you know that they're certainly respected.
Tell me, Rick, when you're confronted with something that is terrifying you, how do you psych yourself up to actually do it?
Well, first thing you do is you go into denial.
Yes, I'm there. Denial.
All right.
Good, yes.
Then you go into a sense of studying what it is you're dealing with.
Right.
Okay, so look down.
Oh, God, look at that.
Hi there.
Are you Chris?
I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris. This is Rick Hansen.
Hey, Rick.
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
So, Chris, walk us through bungee jumping here in Whistler.
Well, bungee jumping here in Whistler, we actually have a test dummy here, right here. That's
Hello.
going to...
That's a terrible thing to say. How are you? What's your name?
Lindy.
Lindy? Hi, Lindy. This is Rick.
Hi, Lindy.
Hi, nice
How are
to
you?
Jeez. Oh my goodness, that is wild. Do you dip your toes? Oh, that's crazy. Just the G-forces that you were experiencing and just the wild ride being a test dummy. I mean, it's clearly a proven sport for so many people, and to be an organization like this that is properly set up, not some random backyard scientist that put a couple of hockey straps together and decided to go off Niagara Falls. No. At least they're using seemingly everything that is necessary to give you the utmost confidence that nothing should ever go wrong in the grand scheme of things. But just when you see that test dummy get ushered off the edge just like that, full free dive, that's wild. The fact that people don't get caught up, and then like I said, that they don't hit the bottom, all the measurements, the elasticity ratings, oh, you gotta be certainly involved in your maths just to be making sure it can't go wrong. But just giving people a little bit of a thrill when you see people get dunked in their head in a good way, if that's what's meant to happen, or their toes or whatever it may be. But geez, it's certainly not for everyone. Which, to be fair, he did perfectly sum up in terms of just going immediately into denial, going, I can't believe I'm doing this, or it doesn't exist, I'm just going to be leaving. And then all of a sudden you go into processing what all the risks could be to at least make an educated decision as if you're actually going to follow through with it or not. Going, okay, this is just ridiculous. Why am I going to go skydiving without a parachute and no one around? Like, that's just too far. But this, okay, I'm seeing some professionals. Someone just went off the edge. There seems to be nice, but everything's in good condition. Okay, well, maybe I'll be able to convince myself to do it.
That looks very secure.
That's the slip knot?
Yeah. Don't be nervous
Now
until
I'm
the duct tape shows up. Yeah. You got the orange rope. That's good.
Safety rope.
Yeah. Easy to find at the bottom of the river. When you did the Man in Motion tour, the tour itself, you raised like, how much?
26 million.
$26 million. But the point of the tour wasn't to raise money for spinal
it
cord
was to
research.
create awareness of the potential of people with disabilities.
People with disabilities, what they can do.
What was possible if barriers were removed.
Right. And now people know that people with disabilities can do all sorts of things. But when I told people I was going bungee jumping with you, a lot of smart people said, well, he can't do that. He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, there's still a big frontier. You know, there's a lot of people that
Bungee.
are doing
The last frontier.
We have some liability waivers we need you to sign.
You don't have...
Okay, fair enough. There's liability waivers, but waiving that aside, I am surprised that from everything we saw, he was going to do it in the wheelchair. It makes sense, I guess. It's all within weight limits, or as long as it's all within weight limits, I guess there wouldn't be anything wrong with it. But then even just the way your body reacts, I would expect them to not have done it and to have managed it as any other person would. And of course, that then comes back to exactly what they are talking about in terms of breaking down these barriers and expectations or assumptions or whatever it may be, all of those different stigmas and everything that have been remolded over the last, let's say, 2-3 decades as an easy example. But then you still have so many barriers for so many people and so many assumptions that people can't do something like this. And of course they can. The way that they go about it might be handled by different companies differently, and that just is what it is, but it doesn't mean that they cannot do it at all. That's just insane to think, really. But of course, people go, oh, you just can't have a life anymore. And I guess that's where this guy and so many others around the world, and even like, let's say Terry Fox, just truly proved, as well as raising so much money for a good cause, but truly proved that there's no reason to have those assumptions. They might be making millions or raising millions in a good way, and that can also help just further treatment and maybe even just mitigate some of the problems that people might be facing mentally, physically with their new disability. But like Rick said, you are just constantly facing new frontiers, and if Bungie truly is the final frontier, then good on him.
You don't have any skeletal joint or ligament issues, do you?
just a spinal injury.
Has anyone ever gotten up here and just, paid their money and you open the gate and they just don't go?
Yeah.
This is it?
That's it.
A keychain. That's what I'm being held on, a keychain, Rick. So when I go down and I wham down, I'm gonna come back up,
Yeah.
and then down again,
Yeah.
and then up again,
Yeah.
and then down again.
Down again. And one more
How
time.
many
My
times?
impersonation of Stephen Harper's mood swings. I don't know who I'm angrier at, myself for coming up with the idea or you for agreeing.
For agreeing, yeah.
Because we could have went fishing.
I know.
And fishing is fun, nerves of steel. I just hope at the end of this, you're the only one in a wheelchair.
It's been nice knowing you, buddy.
I guess that's the nicest way to put it. I guess he's saying really that I hope by the end of it that nothing changes, because it makes sense. Fair enough. But it's certainly not just a keychain that he is dangling by. There are so many safety systems and then backups and dual lines and connections. And I do wonder though, I don't know enough about Bungie. How do they get you back up? Is it like a big crank? Not that it's necessarily a big manual crank, but is it just then rewound onto a drum? Or how do you actually get up? It's not like they lower you down because there's water there. If it was rock, then I guess you could go down. But it's certainly, I wonder if people would be more inclined to do it with water than with rock, even though from that height, landing in whatever odd way you're going to be landing, if you're truly going to be landing, isn't going to be doing you really any difference. And if you do get kind of stuck under the water with a massive bungee cord dragging you along, it probably weighs, 100 kilos of bungee or something, you're not going to be having too good of a time. And so I think being in a wheelchair is going to be the least of your problems if that was to happen. So don't worry, Rick, that carabiner will be fine.
You can do it, buddy.
I know, I can. People have done it before.
You're gonna jump back?
And smile. Smile.
Oh, wow. Any final words?
Just
To be
go for it.
standing there.
Remember, you're my hero, Rick.
Okay, all right, let's
That's
just
so
do it.
nice.
Let's just do it.
As patronizing as that may be, or as sarcastic or whatever you want to be calling it, to be having that come from his mouth, the way that it was actually delivered actually did come across very nice. And for whatever reason that these two seemingly have a history, it works. That clearly works. It's getting Rick to stand 160 feet, like I said, like 50 meters, about 50 meters above this raging rapids in the middle of Whistler. I mean, I wonder if they run this in winter. Because then you're, once again, like I was saying, you're going to be having very different elasticity ratings and mathematical calculations just to be dealing with the different bungee and the temperatures, and even on a hot summer's day compared to a cooler day, if there's wind blowing through. I mean, I guess it is in a big sock, and so it is what it is, but still, there seems to be, that's what plays on people's minds. There are all those little things like, what if?
5, 4.
Hang on. My knees are buckling.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because sooner or later they're going to give. The whole nation's watching you now, Rick.
Go on,
Okay,
Rick.
ready?
I'm a coward.
We're counting down.
I'm a coward.
5.
Okay, no, not yet. Okay, so that's bad. See, I shouldn't have started that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go! You're my hero! Right on!
I'm like a piñata for a grizzly bear.
He's not wrong. At least it's not a tiny little stream. He is a little bit separated from the edge of the river there, and for a grizzly to be going into there, it's going to be a hungry grizzly. But hey, maybe Rick's the national icon. Maybe they just want an autograph or something, and he gets a little bit sideswiped in the process. But no, I guess I've never really seen anything with Bungie. This entire clip is just making me realize how much I don't know, and I guess that's good to learn. But just the way that it was visually looked on camera, with it being kind of tracked, made it look like a lot softer of a landing than I expected it to, which is good. But I'm sure the G-forces are pretty crazy as well. But just seeing this just go crazy all the way down, ooh, it really, I mean, like I said, the camera just truly does track him, but just freezing it right there. I mean, of course, it's elasticity just absolutely going, okay, not any longer. Just potential energy is going to be sending you back skywards, beating gravity. But it looks so soft. And for some reason, maybe I've only seen bad videos. Maybe that's what it is, and I just see people whipping around and having a horrible, horrible time. Even just feet tied, I guess. Maybe that's why I'm seeing it wrong. Where that seems like a lot more natural.
Whoa! We did it! Yes!
They did do it. Now
I'm
I want
alive,
to know what is
Rick!
going to be happening. And how
I
does
have
he
to
get back
Twitter
up?
this.
That's inspired me.
How did he
It's
get
so much
back?
fun. It's so terrifying. You're gonna love
Yeah.
it.
What's that smell?
You know,
Oh man, hey,
There we go.
you are fantastic. Congratulations.
Now it's your turn,
That
brother.
is so cool.
when you were counting down, I didn't want to go. I can't wait to count down for you.
Oh, look at the time.
Oh no, just like that, very easily. Oh, sorry. sorry, Rick, that company's got to shut. I actually bought shares in this company to make sure that you went first and I went second. And look at that. It is 2:59. We got to pack up shop. But no, I'm interested to see how this is going to work and how they actually secure him. Even the logistics in terms of, I can't imagine they would have had to deal with someone in a wheelchair before, but to actually accept it is awesome. And especially, like I said, this video is 14 years ago. I don't know when this video was originally made. And so for people, I wonder if companies would take on this risk these days. I mean, maybe being a celebrity of whatever sort does certainly help you pull some extra strings, and being an RMR and all that kind of stuff definitely gets you in some doors. But in so many cases, it feels like, as kind of proactive as the world can be, companies and businesses are legally scared to take on extra risks. And so maybe they go, we and our trainers and our staff are not equipped to be dealing with this, and so I'm sorry. We cannot facilitate you. And that's, I guess, what this whole thing's about. So hopefully these people still offer this service to anyone that wants to do it, is brave enough to do it.
When you were counting down, I didn't want to go. I can't wait to count down for you.
Oh, look at the time.
Just like that. Oh, perfect.
You know
There we
those
go.
type of athletes
No
who try to
special
get into the
treatment,
other
just treating
athlete's
people
head?
as they
You have the
should
upper
always be
hand.
treated.
Oh, yeah,
See,
totally.
before I was
a coward. Now I'm
yeah.
a braggart. So you're only really strapped in like this so you can't change your mind. The stuff we get into.
You are a bad man.
It's the man in motion. Except it's down this time.
He will certainly be in motion. Oh man. Okay, before he goes, like I said, I'm just so glad that they rigged him up in his harness exactly like anyone else would be. As much as his physical impairment may not allow him to physically jump off, they are clearly enabling this entire process. And so for someone, like I said, that is brave enough to go ahead in this, it's a no-brainer. It's like, yep, the harness will still work. It was just confusing because at the start of the video, they gave him that little lapsash, so to say, in comparison to what we're seeing now. And I was wondering if that, not that that was it, but if that was the start of the process, or if they were just going to do it normally. And luckily, like I said, they're doing it normally. And man, he is certainly going to be in motion. So what does he have? What does he have? Oh, they did send him. Okay. Either way, I'm so confused. Look at him go. Oh my God. I was wondering. Interesting. Makes sense as well, though.
Rick, brother! Rick, how are you?
Oh, man.
I can't feel my legs. Oh no. I was
What? Okay, well, the back and forward roller coaster of what he is actually going to be enabled to be able to do has been great. Once again, they clearly strapped him in and strapped the chair in, and so the logistics of that, and in terms of a good way, in terms of the company actually going, sure, we can figure something out. I'm sure we can, strapping ratchet straps or whatever they need, that kind of thing, just actually taking the challenge on board to give these people what they want. They're paying customers. They shouldn't be treated any differently as long as everything is deemed to be safe and they can muster up the courage to go off the edge, whether they're in their wheelchair, whether they have to ditch their crutches because they even just rolled an ankle, whatever it may be. It's not like, oh, you have to be in 100% physical condition, otherwise we do not care at all. Which is interesting then with the liability form going, do you have any ligaments? And then for him to say, I can't feel my legs. I mean, I don't know if the G-force is as soft as I said it would be. I don't know if that's going to be the best thing for everyone. Let's say that's why they of course have to ask it. But for him just to be throwing that in there is fantastic. Just going, absolutely clinging on for dear life. Your adrenaline is through the roof. Your brain is finally kind of realizing what's going on, going, okay, the bungee worked at least. We are safe. We are hanging. Please, nothing else happen. But I can't feel my legs.
Oh, man! Woo! Unbelievable.
Look at
It's
him.
not every day you see a
How
guy
do
in a
they
wheelchair
reach the
dangling
mark?
over a
That's what I wanna
gorge.
know.
Rick Hansen.
Look at him go. Awesome. Hey,
You, my
just
friend,
like that.
are alive.
I am still alive. We did it.
We
Nice
certainly
work.
did. Woo-hoo. That was great.
Perfect.
You were awesome.
Oh, you too. That was scary.
Thanks for challenging me.
Well, thank you for coming for the challenge and making me do it. Next time we'll go fishing.
You bet.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. I mean, like I said, that's what friends are for, just to be pushing each other. They clearly have some history there. And even though it wasn't 5 foot or 6 foot or even 7 foot for that matter, it was more like 160 foot, he overcame his next challenge of being a man in motion, a man in 3-dimensional motion. Before, he traveled the Great Wall of China, he went to 34 countries, but no, the bungee was the final frontier, and my goodness, nothing stopped him. As much as Everyone else was there to support him. He certainly carried his own weight there, and so good on him for raising awareness, raising money, and just giving it a go, if nothing less. And of course then Rick just going along for the ride and just hanging out with all these incredible people always just makes everyone's personality shine. And so yeah, another great RMR.